The Square Ball Podcast.
Welcome to the show that's brought to you with Levi Solicitors. 10% discount on your legal fees at levisolicitors.co.uk/the square ball. And if you move in house as well, that's a 15% discount on your legal fees for conveyancing for the duration of January 2022. Details on the website. Dan, Michael and Moscow, part 2 of the show. This is the preview for West Ham. Would anyone notice if we just put out last week's?
I think
it's detailed League Cup discussion.
I think we need to, well, there are a few things. Firpo's not fit anymore, so we need to address that.
Oh, yeah, he's busted.
He says he's okay. He says he's fine.
Does he have to sit out, though, for concussion protocols?
If you've been concussed, you're not allowed to play, are you?
But he wasn't but he wasn't the concussion sub, was he? He was just subbed.
He just felt dizzy.
So that's
like Vic Reeves.
I'm no medical expert, but you can check and see if he's concussed. If he's not, he's fine.
If he's got one working eye, send him out there. Is that what we're saying? Giving out.
Gordon Banks played with
that's true.
With one eye, didn't he, for some of his career?
We obviously shouldn't take risks with head injuries, but I think there's probably a more detailed assessment will go on with him to see if he can play or not.
Yes, he did tweet to say he was feeling better, didn't he? Gutted to be out of the FA Cup, but let's focus on the league now. I'm sure he said his Twitter account is one of the more obviously managed ones, isn't it? The other week when he said something along the lines of "we put in a great shift" or something, you just think that's not how you speak, Junior.
It's funny though, because he is quite a charming person. Like when he did his first interviews, he was kind of joking about how cold it is, and he's not looking. He was doing a wry kind of not looking forward to winter over here kind of thing. And I always think if you can do jokes in your third language, then there's some personality involved, and it's a shame that I suppose somebody just tweets for him when he could probably do some more interesting stuff himself.
Say less but do it yourself. Would be a nice mantra. Anyway, we're back to the Poxy Stadium again. So what have we got to say about this one? It's really taken the shine off it. You're right, actually, Moscow, when you said, I don't know if it's in part 1 of this or the back end of propaganda, where you said it's just the whole thing with the FA Cup's being made worse by the fact that we're playing them in the league this week. It's just a bit less. It's lowered the fun levels that little bit more, hasn't it?
Although I think that'll fade away at kick-off, because I think there'll be that feeling that this is the proper game. This is the one that we need to really compete in, and hopefully, I mean, it's a bit of a question of what team will be out for us, but I don't think it'll have, it won't be Sam Greenwood up front again. It's going to be Dan James if he survives the week. So the front will be James, Harrison, Rafinha. What's midfield going to be?
Well, if I was going to say if Dallas doesn't have to play left back, it'll be Dallas, Click and Forshaw.
Yeah, and then defence.
If Dallas does have to play left back, Bate.
Yeah, because he did fine at the weekend, didn't he? And Firpo or Dallas, and then who have we got for centre back? We've got Koch will be fine.
Yelder keeps his place for me.
Maybe Struijk could be miraculously resurrected because he's always just kind of not far away. And then Ayling, we could play Ayling at central defence and Cody Drama. But it's closer to something like a decent team. You could tell the whole thing about the game, the first game, was how it started underwhelming and stayed that way. That was I went back and checked. There were no fouls in the first 12 minutes. And when there's not even a free kick in the first 12 minutes, you can kind of tell both teams are a bit...
It's not a blood and thunder cup tie, is it?
And this Moyes character, straight after the game, was launching into having to play Norwich on Wednesday night because
stiff test.
And then he was saying, I don't want to keep dragging that subject out. And then 2 minutes later, he's back on it again about how it's not fair that because it's Norwich's COVID cases that caused that game to be rearranged. So then West Ham are having to play it now, whereas Leeds caused 2 games to be missed because of our COVID cases. So why aren't we playing one of those games at the same time as West Ham are having to play?
How about shut up?
It all fits in with that.
How about shut up, David Moyes? How about that?
Moyes was another one having a whinge about how if games are rearranged for after the transfer window and people have managed to sign new players, should those players be allowed to play in those games? And yes.
Yeah.
Yes, David. It's just, you forget, sporting integrity and all that kind of competition integrity, and we've got to protect the league. And it's fine up until a point, and it's
sometimes stuff just happens.
Yes,
just get on with it.
And we had that during COVID, whether should teams be promoted by desk and relegated by desk was the Spanish translation from Argentinian articles, and would that be the integrity of the league? It's like, yeah, it's the circumstances. The game comes down to two teams on a date play the match, and the players they have in their squad are the players that play. So because we can't bring Cody Drama back for when we play Liverpool.
Make it sound like he's died.
Well,
are you there, Cody? Are you there?
So none of that's
playing a ghost at right back.
We can't do any of that stuff, so it just gets much too complicated. And the integrity of the competition is better protected if you just go back to that rule of you're playing on this date, put your team out, and the integrity. If we're really worried about the integrity of the competition, then take all Manchester City's good players that are on the bench off them.
Yeah,
that would do more to
also
kind
just
of make it
shut up being crybabies as well.
Given this is the West Ham preview, is there a chance one of our games will get rearranged now? I don't know what the rules are on that, because we obviously missed the Villa game and they're now out of the cup, aren't they? So we don't play between the 22nd and the 9th, do we? So there is.
So maybe that's where we play, is in the international week, or will somebody cry about that?
Well, that's technically the international week, and
what internationals are happening?
South American World Cup qualifiers.
And AFCON, is AFCON still on as well?
Yeah, so we could lose Rafinha, but Liverpool will be without Salah, Mane, Alisson.
Would Firmino
and anyone else who they're pretending to have COVID?
Yes,
would Firmino be out as well, because if it's a South American college? Yeah. So that's when we should rearrange that.
And FIFA have said, because ordinarily FIFA would say you can't play domestic games during that, but they've said no, that's fine if you want to do it. I think there's also been some, I don't know if it was decided, it was talk about being able to play them up against Champions League matches, but obviously we can't. Liverpool, I assume they're still in the Champions League.
They are.
I assume Aston Villa are not.
Correct.
Despite signing Coutinho for all the good it'll do them. That was something I was going to talk about with transfers. And for all, it feels like we're messing up terribly. At least we didn't, spend all our money on Buendia to be our game-changing playmaker who will save us in the Premier League, and then that's turned out to be so bad that you just go and have to spend even more money on Coutinho. Because Coutinho feels like, that's a really good signing, Aston Villa are really doing something good, but you forget how many players they've bought to do that job to get to this point where there's we need another one, just get another one, just get another one, get Gerrard's mate. And that's a weird story as well of the Scum loanee who claimed that Gerrard won't pick him because he's on loan from Scum, so he's gone to Italy.
Alex, what's his name?
Some Premier League player.
Twanzabe, is it?
Yeah, I can't pronounce that.
I'm not sure what it's called either.
The whole thing, so very
Twanzabe.
strange. But so Coutinho's one that kind of, it looks very good on the surface, but I'm not sure it's wise. And also, what are Aston Villa trying to do this season? What's their aim? They're not going to qualify for Europe, and they're probably not going to get relegated because they're quite good as they are. So why do they even need Coutinho for the rest of the season, apart from just to...
It's almost like they're trying to make their team better via transfers.
But until May...
Won't work, Michael.
He's on loan.
They can buy him, though, at the end. There is an option to buy.
Yeah.
Just the €40 million. But
they could do that anyway.
Well, I know, but I guess they're having to look at him, aren't they?
Try before you buy.
I think they've seen probably Barcelona are in a bit of a sticky spot.
They need help.
That they're buying people who they can't play. So they've had to get him out, haven't they?
Mind you, we've been linked
It's
to
not
that.
Aston Villa's job to help Barcelona.
No, but I mean, they've seen a bargain potentially in the market.
Well, we've been linked to that Barcelona child, haven't we, as well? The one who's been playing because they've got no players.
Is that Ricky Pig?
No, it's not Ricky Pig. I can't remember the name. I should have written it down. But it's the forward he's played the last couple of games, but he's sort of on the periphery. And when they get people back from injury and COVID or whatever, then he won't play. And obviously they need to raise money.
I am insistent that this is relevant because Aston Villa wear the same colour kits as West Ham.
Good.
So anybody who's wondering why this is the West Ham preview.
We've gone massively off piste again, haven't we, with it?
Yep.
There's nothing to say. I mean, West Ham, we know what
Talk
they're
about
like.
Burnley for a bit. Similar colours.
Scunthorpe.
Yeah, also fine.
West Ham, I mean, actually, it's been quite instructive playing the cup game, even if it has made it boring, playing the cup game first, because it's a reminder of what we are up against, which is it's a functional team, isn't it, with some good players in it.
We struggled with Greenwood up front because he kind of lacked a bit of physical presence. So I look forward to seeing Dan James play there.
You never know, it might work.
They are quite. they're missing their first choice centre backs and have been for a while, so they have been conceding like a sieve. I think Moyes was quite relieved that they got through with a clean sheet on Sunday. And there's nothing really about them that's terrifying. We know earlier in the season we drew with them and didn't look much different from them. So
we will get tweets and comments about that, Moscow.
About what? About not being frightened of West Ham?
About drawing with them.
Well, we did.
No, we didn't. They beat us.
It was 2-1.
It felt like a draw that was snatched away, but yeah, we did lose.
Don't look it up. It definitely happened. We lost 2-1. Antonio scored late, didn't he?
They scored a late goal, yeah, because I had a bloke who I knew from university.
I thought you were doing the joke that we did from the start of last season where we beat Liverpool.
It's my memory.
Oh, okay, that's actually an actual mistake.
I had some Twitter DMs from a bloke who I knew at university who's a West Ham fan, and he said, I just fancy meeting for a beer and stuff, and I ended up being such a sulk and ignoring him because we lost.
That's right.
Fair
it's
enough.
all coming back to me now. Yeah.
So sorry, Mickey. I will do it next time.
Yeah, that wasn't me trying to be funny. I just can't remember anything anymore.
Great.
It's a wonder I'm dressed when I leave the house.
So we basically have.
Well, they didn't look. I mean, yes. But it was a last-minute goal, wasn't it? And my memory of the West Ham game was that it was like a draw. We weren't so dramatically.
And that's the important
outplayed.
thing.
as long as it felt like a draw.
Yeah, performance-wise, that game was fine, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was just
we were
a spawny last-minute goal.
We also, to look at it in a more negative way, we've also lost 4 in a row against West Ham since being promoted.
Well, it's time to turn that ship around.
That's not so good.
Yeah, we're overdue one though, aren't we?
We're playing them too often in that case.
Do you want 6 words that'll fill you full of joy? Mike Dean ref, Craig Pawson VAR.
Okay. Well, what difference does it make, really? I find it hard to beat. I feel like in the old days, you kind of go, it's Jeff Winter, and you go, oh. Whereas now you sort of go,
oh, they're all knobheads.
Well, what difference does it make?
Just Mike Dean, though, the chance for him to make it about himself as well.
On the plus side with Mike Dean, I feel like VAR is less likely to get involved because they know Mike Dean will be a dick about it. So maybe there's like still a seniority thing goes on, I think.
What have you done that for? That he's phoning him up afterwards?
It was Mike Dean who refused to give Dan James the penalty at Newcastle, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When that was right in front of his face.
So he'll probably refuse to give Dan James a penalty on Sunday.
Okay. Are we going to win?
Yeah.
Do you reckon?
Why not?
I don't think we will.
I mean, probably not, but a draw would be all right. I'd be fine with that. Chances are we'll lose because we're absolutely knackered for injuries. Sort of regretting saying that it felt like the worst of the injuries was over on the Phil Hay show.
When did you say that? Just before it was.
Just before it wasn't okay.
Just before it all started.
Yeah, but we didn't know about Bamford at that point. I think maybe I got a bit giddy on the idea that Bamford was coming back, and I thought, we're getting there now. We just need, one at a time, get the senior players back in, and we're ruined.
You're in the eye of the storm, weren't you? You didn't know.
I didn't realise the winds were swirling all around me, ready to lift my car into the air and throw me into a distant land. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't see us getting anything from it, if I'm honest.
But we did create a couple of chances against them, so that it is within us to break them down, to get through them. I don't sound confident.
Don't come to me for optimism. Speak to Moscow.
No, but it is always within us to create something, even if we are on the bones of our arse. Yeah. I know it makes it a lot more difficult, but Dan James is quick, and he can run in behind people, so that's a thing.
Okay, just do that then.
Apart from that,
Moscow, have you got any other ideas?
I'm just reading my match report from the first game. Remember what happened?
Trying to convince yourself.
A good point.
Apparently we were brilliant. It was Charlie Creswell's first start, so that's a good omen for
we like putting children up against Antonio, don't we?
And let's say he sort of had the better of Llorente to a point, but Antonio didn't really have any chances on Sunday, did he?
Not really. I mean, he laid on the one for Bowen, or two really good chances for Bowen. He did. He did do that.
Yeah. My opening on this was that I expected Leeds to lose to West Ham, and that happened. But I didn't expect Leeds to play brilliantly while losing. I think that's why I've conned myself in retrospect into thinking it was a draw in my memory. Being so good made everything much worse. I still stand by what I was kind of teetering towards, that West Ham having a good season, but they're not really anything special or anything to fear, and that with the different approach that we will have for a league game than to what was a pretty, it felt like an underwhelming cup game, didn't it? That was never really going anywhere. That was West Ham's best team on Sunday, and I think they'll have to play a very good team against Norwich just because of one, because they want to do well in the Premier League, and two, so that David Moyes can fully whinge about how tired his players are.
Yeah, if ever there's the sort of fates are conspiring to give us a reason to win, that is it.
And you don't know, we may have some miraculous recoveries.
And Rafinha's back in as well. So we'll have Rafinha, unless he gets injured, obviously.
Rafinha from the start, and Rafinha with a Premier League head on. He was one of the things that I have now reminded myself of the first game was he was tearing Aaron Krez, the left back, to pieces. I'll be quiet now.
We've broken Moscow. He's forgotten everything and can no longer speak.
We'll win. That's the speak of a sound.
The speak
brain.
of a sound brain. Yes, it is.
That's your West Ham preview anyway. Stick about, part 3 of the show is on the way where we'll pick heroes and villains for all the last week. You all right there? Yeah. Do you need anything?
No.
The Square Ball Podcast.